How's it going? Today, we're going to be talking about error handling. We're getting so close to writing scripts. I'm trying to get everything in this course knocked out so we can start writing scripts and doing some cool stuff. But today, error handling is key. We're going to be talking about terminating errors, non-terminating errors, how to tell if a commandlet has a terminating or non-terminating error. All this stuff really does matter. If it's your first time here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe to get those analytics out there so people can find this channel. If you're coming back and you already subscribed, really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's hit the shell. Most people think that try catch is everything when it's not. There's a lot to it. It really matters if the commandlet is a terminating or non-terminating, and that will define if the try catch will actually catch it or not. So what is a terminating error? What's a non-terminating error? So terminating, does it stop the script? Yes. Non-terminating? No, it doesn't. Does it get caught with try catch? With a terminating error, it does. When non-terminating, it does not. Not by default. There is ways to trick it and stuff, but we'll talk about that later. And then some examples, commandlets to make a terminating error. You can do throws and exceptions. And then some commandlets, like I said, there's actually a parameter you can use that a lot of people don't really know that's what it's there for. And then, for example, commandlets of non-terminating errors, get item is non-terminating. It'll error, but your try catch won't catch it. So also a test path. And these are things that a lot of people don't know. I also added in here how to tell. Most commandlets are non-terminating, but some are. And I'll show you how to kind of figure that out too. So the key takeaways, try catch only works on terminating errors unless you force a non-terminating error. And then errors to behave like terminating using the ErrorAction Stop. So this is how you tell if it's non-terminating or not. So if a commandlet doesn't have error action, then most likely it's a terminating error. But if it does, then it's going to be a non-terminating error. And you got to use ErrorAction Stop to make it a terminating error. So here's an example. We're going to try to get this item of this file. And if I run this by itself, obviously it doesn't exist. This right here is a non-terminating error. So we're going to put this try catch. Most people would assume that they're going to get caught with this catch, but that's not the case. So we'll go ahead and highlight this and run it. And notice, still running after get item. We don't actually fall into the catch statement. And that's because it's not a terminating error. It's a non-terminating error. So here in the second demo, we're going to actually specify ErrorAction Stop. We're going to make it a terminating error. And now if we run this, you notice caught in the catch block. So this will get some people. I know when I first started writing PowerShell, I was doing like get 80 user stuff, and I had try catch errors and they weren't working. I couldn't figure out why. This was why, basically. Another thing that is more of a hidden gem is using the $? So if I were to run that right now, you see it turns true. So if you have an error, it will actually turn false. So let's go ahead and run this. We have an error. And now if we check the state of $? It's set to false. And then so if we say if it's not true, right? Then the last command failed. So if we go ahead and run that, there we go. So that's a hidden gem to see if your the previous command, it doesn't have to even be a command. If I do this right here, we see it's true. If I just type in a bunch of gibberish, hit enter, obviously that, and then we do this again, bam. So it doesn't have to be a commandlet, it's any error. So non-terminating errors make the $? False. So this is a simple way to handle silent errors outside of try catch. So if you're not using try catch and you want to catch an error message, that's a little trick. I know what you're thinking. How do you figure out what commandlets have terminating errors in PowerShell, right? By PowerShell Nerd. How to know this for non-terminating errors, this is what we talked about earlier. So if you do get help on a commandlet, you can do full, you look for error action. If it has error action, most likely it's non-terminating. I always will use error action in my scripts. But yeah, so if this is present in the get help, obviously you can do -online to get the online help. If error action is there, then that means it's a non-terminating error. You could also experiment with try-catch traps to see, kind of like what we did earlier, and see and play with how those work. And then also tells you what the error was for a non-terminating error. So if you use, so you basically, if you're in doubt, just assume that it's a non-terminating error. That's what I was saying. Most commands are non-terminating. So just some tidbits there. And then bonus, if you're writing scripts, you can force all errors to be terminating. So there's actually a built-in variable for ErrorActionPreference. So if you run this, you can see it's continue. So right now it's set to continue. Pretty sure that's the default unless someone's changed your environment. So what a lot of people will do when they're writing scripts is they'll do ErrorActionPreference and they'll store it into a variable. So they'll retain what the value is currently on that person's machine. And then in the script, they'll actually set it to stop. And then once their code runs and they do all their executions and all that, they'll actually switch it back to the old preference again. So they'll just change ErrorAction back. So if I go ahead and show it now, it's stopped. And then if we set it back to the old preference, it'll restore the state of that. And there you go. It's also based on the current shell. It's not typically across all shells. So it's safe to say if you set it in a script, they run the script and then the window closes and they open a new one, it shouldn't be set to what you set it to, but it just depends if they make it a global setting or not, or if they put it in their profile. That's another thing. And then you can also create your own errors. This is really handy. I like to do this in my custom scripts just so I know where something, like if something were to break somewhere, instead of using the built-in PowerShell errors that they give you. Sometimes people can't read those, or you have people that aren't PowerShell efficient and they'll get an error and they'll have no idea what it is. So you can actually just do a throw and put whatever error you want in there. So you can say, you know, if they have a specific user, or you say, you know, hey, you forgot to put your credentials or something like that. Something easy for them to read. You can also use throw, and that would work with try catch also. So short little video, really valuable information. Just make sure you're doing error handling in your scripts and you're commenting your code, obviously. Hopefully this was valuable. I almost forgot the most important part of the video, the challenge. Today's challenge is going to be more real world. So we're going to be cleaning up log files. We're going to use a script. A script is just a PS1 file. I know we haven't learned scripts yet, but this is to give you basically dipping your toe in the water, right? So basically we're going to use what we learned in previous videos. We're going to build on top of things. It's not just going to be what we learned today. So you can reference the working with files and folders and the advanced arrays. So I'm going to have those videos in the corners so you can click those if you need to. But basically you're going to create a directory called clogs, and then you're going to create about 20 files in that directory for log files. Basically they don't have to have any data in them, but we just need to name them, right? So we learned in other videos, like the for each video and stuff, how to basically run through numbers, right? To name those files. So you can do, you know, 1 through 20, name it like file 1, file 2, or file _1, _2. Just create 20 files. The next step, it'll take a little research, pretty easy to find though. Something we've not really talked about. This will get your hands dirty though. Is going through those files and changing the date on them, right? We want to clean up old log files, so we got to make them look old because we're not going to wait 2 weeks to test this script out, right? So you're going to go through, you're going to figure out a way by Googling easily how to change the date with PowerShell on files, change the last write time. And then what you can actually do for a bonus, or however you want to say, is we created 20 files. You can use the get random commandlet, which we've not covered, where you can randomly select so many items. So you can say, all right, give me 20 items, maybe with, you know, get child item or something like that. I'm not going to give you answers, but give me the files. Out of all these files, randomly only give me 10. All right, go through a for each loop, maybe update the last write times, you know. So basically step 3, write your log cleanup script. So you're going to find .log files, so they should end up with .log. You're going to look for older than 30 days in the clogs directory. Delete those files, handle errors carefully, files in use, permissions, etc. So use that try catch finally, right? And then log any errors to errorlog.txt. I expect you should be able to do that. It's not too hard. Then you use try catch finally properly. If the folder doesn't exist, catch it gracefully. No ugly red errors, right? Don't throw those red errors. We gotta, we don't want to freak out the person using the script, right? So we want to go ahead and just create that directory. And then you can always clean up the outputs attempted to finish. So no matter what happens, right, you can clean up any of the outputs. So that's it. Thank you.